Satan's Daycare by M.E. for Mars. Read by a bag of Vicodin. Satan sighed as he called out to his secretary. "Andrea, would you care to explain why I nearly fried one of the interns?" He shook his head to put out the bits of hellfire that clung to it. Careful now, he thought. No need to ruin anything else in here. Beyond the still smoking scorch mark in his throw rug, his office was still immaculate. His desk was free of clutter, only holding a data tablet of this week's numbers and projected figures for the next several months. The two ergonomic chairs were set slightly askew in front of it, matching the set of four currently assembled as a tasteful art piece towards the back wall of the room. Abaddon had insisted that it would draw the eye of those entering the space, inviting rather than distracting, while still providing a necessary function should an emergency meeting need held here. For once, Satan had to agree. His Arania's division really knew their stuff when it comes to interior decorating. It was at their suggestion that his many trophies and contacts were moved to the gallery, which opened up space for his newest installation. It was one he had been looking forward to. The one that made a corner of his office feel the most like Earth any damned could hope to find in hell. The one that he worked overtime for the last several centuries for just one day of peace with before it served its function. Of course, that blissful moment was ruined, and Satan nearly had to call the Aranias back to redecorate again. His secretary appeared in the doorway, having muted her headset. "My apologies, sir. He came barging through before I could stop him. There seems to be some disturbance on the upper levels that had me distracted," Andrea stated. "It's fine, Andrea. I guess I just forgot what today was," Satan said. "Can you spare a moment?" "Certainly, sir," she replied. "Just let me wrap up with my current call, and I'll be right back." Satan marveled as Andrea strolled out of the office, once more reminded why he hired mortals so often. She was already coordinating the rest of his staff into action, whereas a demon in her role would be away from its post, fighting its fellows in an attempt to steal glory for what amounted to a jammed photocopier. Most humans, for all of their faults, at least knew how to prioritize their tasks so as to solve a problem rather than add to it, unlike the demon still babbling before him. The lesser demon was staring blindly at the office's closed curtains, hiding the inferno beyond. Satan could hear it muttering something over and over while it rocked in its place. Some of the hellfire was eating at its clawed foot, but it didn't seem to notice. "Must be in shock," Satan mused, before grabbing hold of its arms and shaking roughly. It had the desired effect. "My liege? Why are you—" "You were shouting something when you came galloping in here like we'd frozen over. What is it?" "Sire, it's terrible! We must flee and hide from the coming storm! The Doomslayer's upon us!" the demon cried. Satan sighed. "I know." "You know, sire? I beg your eternal forgiveness, but how could you know that the Hellwalker himself would appear to assail us once more? He is as unknowable as he is deadly." "Well, for one thing," Satan said as he guided the demon into one of his desk chairs, "I am currently in possession of something he wants. Our consultants at the UAC were clear that it was only a matter of time before he would discover this, and we have been preparing for this moment since they informed us. Tell me, young—" "Guzverum, sire." "Thank you. Tell me, Guzverum, what department head do you report to?" "Beelzebub." Makes sense with the flowery language, Satan thought. He continued to ask, "And would it be safe to say that you were getting back from your lunch break if a worker from advertising was anywhere near the hell gates the Doomslayer could have arrived through?" Guzverum stared down at its feet, shrinking into the chair. "Correct, sire." "Would it also be safe to say that you saw security going out to meet the Doomslayer before you panicked and rushed here, ignoring all stated procedure and causing a scene?" "It would," it answered, shrinking further. "Do you understand why I reacted the way I did when you came in barging in unannounced? Why it's important to follow procedure, especially at times like this?" "I do, my liege." Satan could swear he heard Guzverum stifle a sniff, clawed hands catching a drop of moisture from its face. He sighed, smiling in spite of himself. "Guzverum, how long have you been with us?" "It'll be 70 years this February, sir." "Then you've only just started here. I understand why you panicked. The Doomslayer is no joke, especially for a new hire like yourself. It's easy to forget everything you know when faced with such a threat, and I don't blame you for acting the way you did, but you need to remember this in future, okay? Satan walked over to the demon, placing a hand on its shoulder. I'm not angry with you, just a bit disappointed. I know you meant well, even if your execution needs work. Guzverum wiped his eyes as it hiccuped. Thank you, sir. It's not a problem, Guzverum, Satan smiled. Remember that my office door is always open, though perhaps schedule it with Andrea next time. I will. Sorry, and thank you again, the lesser demon stammered as best as it could before briskly rushing out the door. Satan let the smile hang on his face until Andrea reappeared, data tablet in hand. He grimly looked around his office. Make a note that the next time the UAC's sorry excuse for a chairman wants volunteers for some harebrained experiment, one Guzverum is to be included at the top of the list. And note that any open negotiations with them are suspended until we can review their actual effectiveness as a consulting firm. Very good, sir. Will there be anything else? No, Andrea. That will be all for now, Satan decided. You'd best get to Shelter yourself. He's bound to show up soon, and there's no reason for you to be caught in the crossfire. The secretary bowed her head. Thank you, sir, and left the office. Satan looked up at the ceiling, silently pleading. He had to show up today? I couldn't have more time? Shaking his head, he retrieved the topmost chair from the office centerpiece, setting it down so he could appreciate his prize for a few moments more. As soon as he sat down, his back wall exploded. Stone, dust, and plaster rained down from the room, buffeted by the winds outside. Luckily, none of the debris came close to the installation, and the reason for the Doomslayer's rampage. A shadow stepped silently into the room, cutting harshly through the light of the hellfire outside. A sickly green glow accompanied the shadow, soft buzzing indicating some new UAC energy weapon. Satan didn't bother to turn around. You can put that away. She's right over here. There was no response from the intruder, save for the echo of boots on the waxed stone floor. The glow held steady, tracking with the shadow as the figure entered the room. Satan could make out the familiar outline of a praetor suit from the corner of his eye, although he knew better than to startle its wearer by facing him just yet. We found her wandering around the fields of Limbo about a decade ago. Had to contact the UAC to confirm that she was what we thought she was. That tin buffoon leading them thought it best to hold her hostage as a way to control you. But we knew you better than that. You'd destroy this whole universe several times over if even the threat of such action was taken against her. So we told the UAC that we made a mistake, that we had the wrong one. Still, we knew to keep good care of her, should you ever find out. And well, here you are. Satan finally turned to face the Doomslayer, the being demons feared to the point of legend. He hated that he couldn't read any expression behind that tinted helmet. The body language alone was enough to tell that the warrior was on edge. Waves of wrath flowed off of him, filling the office with an oppressive force. Still, Satan happily noted that the ludicrously massive energy weapon the Doomslayer wielded was no longer directed at him, since the warrior had spotted the installation. One corner of Satan's office had been converted into a pen area. Lettuces and dandelions grew naturally through the space. Hay and bits of cardboard were all about it, some resting against the thin mesh pen walls and some resting around a white hutch in the back. Sitting beside the pen was a plastic pet carrier, the word Daisy scrawled in black marker across the top. Despite all the commotion occurring in the office, the carrier's furry brown occupant lay sound asleep. She really is sweet. I could see why you're so attached, Satan said as the Doomslayer approached to check the carrier. You should know that I've arranged for a portal to be opened nearby so that you don't have to fight your way through any more of my staff. If you head out those doors there, you'll pass the portal on your right. It will take you where you want to go. Don't take this the wrong way, but wherever you go, please stay there. The Doomslayer held the pet carrier in one arm, while brandishing a shotgun in the other. Giving Satan his back, he made for his exit. Satan called out, Doomslayer? One more thing. The figure froze in the doorway, as if sensing a trap. If you happen to run into Samuel Hayden, punch him in the face for me. There was no outward reaction, although Satan was willing to bet this was the first time that the Doomslayer agreed with the demon on anything. Without a word, he and his pet left. Satan looked back to the pen, thinking of all that would need to be addressed regarding his latest visit. To no one in particular, he mused. I'm gonna miss that rabbit. Thank you for listening.